I love that you're letting me lead the fucking thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was like, this is like the second or third one when this fool leads it. Hey, all right, that's all right.
This one you're not gonna like. I'm gonna start it off with this one. Today's I was gonna say Black Friday again.
It's Good Friday. It's Good Friday. No meat eating today, unless it comes out of the ocean.
A cow coming out of this. I had me talk before. All right. Ernesto, I don't know about you, but we both smell like swamp ass. Brother,
wait, I have sweated.
we're recording.
Like swamp ass. You might.
So just for the record, me and Ernesto and Vanessa, we were here at 8:30 in the morning. It's about 10:30 right now.
Yes, don't forget about Elisa.
Oh, yeah, no.
And
They were not here for that, but because they were here and we're a team and we have great culture, they became laborers.
Exactly. They volunteered.
Yeah. So, all right. So today,
done quickly.
episode, I don't know what episode today is.
7.
Lucky 7. By the way, Lucky 7, that's a big number for me, so I'm excited to hear 7. Let's see if we can squeeze 7 topics today.
All right.
So that means we got to like bullet real quick. So some topics that I want to talk is one of your favorites, Ernesto, Good Friday. That is today, so we're shooting this on Good Friday.
Yes, we are.
And I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek. Ernesto, how come I'm saying that is your favorite topic?
Because you know I'm an atheist.
Ernesto is an atheist, and the first time I heard it, I'm like, bro, whoa, where's the black like makeup and the black like cloths? And
What? Why?
because you don't believe in what?
I don't believe in.
The afterlife?
It's not just the afterlife. I just don't.
Just the afterlife.
I believe instead of saying what I don't believe in, I often talk about what I do believe in. I believe in my fellow man. That's what I believe.
Okay.
That's where I keep my faith.
I actually appreciate that and like that. Maybe we'll chop into that a little bit. We're going to talk about it, how Instagram made $660 million in one day.
A little blue check mark, baby.
Are you going to be paying for a check mark?
Probably.
Oh, my God. I cannot wait to deep dive into that because I refuse to pay. Well, first of all, I think like famous politicians like a Trump or a Clinton.
Yes.
Athletes, maybe actors. I don't care too much about actors, but actors should have the blue check mark. You, Ernesto, should not have a blue check mark.
You know what? Can I tell you something? Well, we'll get into
it.
But even guys like me get their account stolen, and having a verified account, I think has a value to it. Go ahead.
Enjoy paying you $15 on that. Let's talk a little bit about the U.S. jobs report that just came out this yesterday, I think, or today. We exceeded the job.
Not by a lot.
We exceeded it. We're supposed to be in a recession, inflation, trying to break the economy, yet we keep kicking its ass.
Right.
The government's decisions. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. Definitely we're going to talk a little bit about Trump being arraigned in New York. He's relaxing, out on bail, as Tupac would say, out on bail, fresh out of jail, out on bail. Oh, my God. Yeah, what is happening to the world? And if we get a chance, I do want to get into how in the world are we not in a real estate market crash, given the inflation, given the rates that are out there, given the guidelines that are out there. So if we get a chance, let's really deep dive into that.
Factors,
right.
All
right. So let's get into it. Good Friday.
Yes.
You are a self-proclaimed atheist for how long now?
Oh, since I was like maybe 13 or 14.
Oh, wow. Is not to take it personal with your spouse, your wife, is she also an atheist?
No, she's not.
How does she accept that? Like, I believe that like if I met Vanessa the way Vanessa is now, that we would never have like gotten past like first base, into second base and the third base of marriage.
Wouldn't God frown upon going past first base?
No, my first base is like kissing and holding hands, bro. How did that happen? By the way, how did you become an atheist and why did you become an atheist? I gotta believe that it's a deep-rooted issue, like something that you experienced or maybe saw growing up.
No, it's not an issue. I don't even call it an issue. It's just I thought my way into a different way of thinking, right? So when I was young, very young, I started diving into evolution a little bit, reading up on my own a little bit, and kind of going through the sequence of events for Earth as they were known at the time. Things have changed since then. Mm-hmm. And it conflicted with my Catholic upbringing. So once I started asking questions of the folks that I thought would have the best answers on the Catholic side, it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me from a timeline perspective. And once the timeline fell apart for me, everything crumbled after that.
So that happened at 13.
Yeah, I was 13 years old.
You're kind of young.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I went from one thing to another day, from one day to the next. It didn't happen like that. That was kind of like the trigger of it.
Sure.
I would say, and then everything kind of fell apart from that moment. Once obviously, if I'm going to believe scientists over religion, then I do know that there are scientists out there that are also very religious, but none of my favorites are.
Got it. Now, do you celebrate Easter?
Yeah. So okay. One thing that's very important, and I actually have told this to my kids on several occasions.
Yeah.
I grew up Catholic, and yet if you put me in a Catholic church today, which when I visit my mother, we often go to church together. It's a great place for me to be.
Okay.
It's a fantastic place for me to be because I know the ceremony. I know the ins and outs of what's about to happen. The people are great, right? Being raised in a religious home is not a bad thing in my eyes because what comes with that is a way of living that's pretty good, right? It's
I agree.
pretty darn good to your fellow man.
Sure.
If you're going to go that route.
Sure.
So I'm not opposed to any of that stuff. And I think opposition is actually the wrong way to put it. It's just I happen to not believe. I'm much more in a peaceful state when I'm in church than I'm in.
Well, I'll tell you, and I'm grateful. I mean, I've known you almost going on 8, 9, 10 years now, something like this, and you never push your ideas or your thoughts or you know that your friends, your clients, your agents.
No, and I'll tell you something else. How I see people practicing, like you and Vanessa and your family, for example, how I see people practicing their faith, I admire that. I really do because there's a beauty in it. It's just not something that I ascribe to.
Yeah, so I grew up in a Catholic family environment, church, First Communion, you name it, right here locally. And as I got older, maybe in my mid-30s, I, because of a relationship, kind of how I started this conversation, I converted and I consider myself a Catholic now. I'm sorry, Christian, go to Christian churches and some of their, ideas. And I'm happy, my mom and my family still very much, the Catholic Church. And again, the goal is to believe in something. I in the afterlife, like I'm excited that, I'm doing the right thing, trying to help my brothers and my sisters and my kids and my family and everybody around me to the best of my ability. And one day when I'm no longer here, I hope I'm remembered, but B, I hope to be in through those wonderful heaven gates.
And so same drive, but different ending for me, right?
Yeah, what's the ending? That's what I want to know.
The ending is the ending. In my mind, when it's over, right? So you better get it done while you're here. Okay. That's kind of how I see it.
Interesting. Well, this is a battle that we're not going to win, or there's no like.
And I don't think that the way that I live, I've never found conflict. I used to look for conflict, to be honest with you. I would look for people to come argue.
Yeah,
you
seem that type.
Yeah, I stopped doing that years ago, and it's much more peaceful this way.
Yeah,
right. It's much more peaceful to look for the commonalities that I have with everybody else, and to look for the opposition.
Would you say that could affect your business, clients, buyers, sellers, or maybe?
I'll be honest with you.
I know you don't talk about it.
It's not something I don't put it out there very often. Yeah. My close friends do know it about me. But I would tell you that most people do not, and I don't put it out there very often. And I do have a fear of being judged.
And to wrap it up, one of my mentors, one of my coaches, Patrick Bay David.
Yes.
He was
I saw his video.
Yeah, he was an atheist, I want to say for like 20, 25 years. I don't know the time frames or whatever, but I think over 2 decades. So, yes, yeah. Hey, I respect him. I respect you. So let's move on to something that I'm actually surprised that you mentioned that you're going to pay for. The blue certified Instagram checkmark. For what reason would Ernesto Garcia pay for that? Sounds crazy to me. Silly to me.
So not too long ago, and this is the example that's coming into my head. Not too long ago, and he has a ton more followers than I do. He's had a television show. He's a competitor of yours, in the industry. He's got Instagram, and I messaged him on Instagram to say, this account just popped up. The account had a couple thousand followers on it, but I could tell it wasn't him. I already knew, this is not something that guy would do, right? And he replied, it's a fake account. I'm like, I know it's a fake account, brother, but I'm letting you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, thank you very much. So for that reason alone, I think a blue check mark is, if you're trying to build a following, right? And I think, most of us are in this industry, then you probably should protect the one account that you want to be the one that represents you.
I get that.
Right.
I get that. So at what point is Mr. Garcia here going to go and pay the $14.99, $15 to get a blue check mark? I'm actually going to buy a shirt. I'm certified, or I'm whatever you want to call it. I can't believe you're going to do that. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get those.
Let's say that you build to 30,000 followers or whatever. At that point, is it worth it for you? Because you're going to have people that are going to try and steal your account.
Yeah, I don't know, because guess what? Check mark or no check mark, you're still gonna get the hackers that are gonna create the fake accounts, trying to sell you the Bitcoin, trying to sell you some services, some bullshit, right?
Yeah.
It's still gonna happen with or without it. Now, I gotta assume you have to be savvy on technology, where if you see an account that's following you, hey, follow my account, and then they're asking you for Bitcoin or to send the money, and all the pictures and all the data and all their posts are 24 hours old or maybe a week old. That's a bullshit account.
Yeah, but not everybody is that savvy. Not everybody, like, for example, this guy does not have an old, what you would call an older following. He's on a younger guy, I would say, right? Mm-hmm. Definitely younger than, well, maybe as old as you are, and maybe a little younger than I am.
Yeah.
But he had a couple thousand people that I don't want to say suckered in, but they were following this fake account, right? And I was like, I wouldn't have done it. It was pretty obvious to me that it was fake. But there you go, 2,000 people had already, So if you have, I don't want to pay for it. It's another thing I want to pay for. No, I don't want to pay for it. But I think at some point you have to reach where the values there.
There was an uproar, not just on Instagram, but on Twitter. Elon Musk, he gave everybody like a 60-day warning. Hey, Twitter, if you want to be Twitter verified, with the check mark, it's going to cost you $8, right? And I'm sure the numbers out there, but there was a bunch of celebrities that said, I will not be paying for this service. I'm already on it. I already have my clients. I already have my following base. I get it. I think, again, if you're a celebrity, mega, athlete, mega, okay, that probably makes sense. I don't know. Again, I'm just speaking as a small entrepreneur, small business owner. I'm not going to say I'll never do it. I don't see myself doing it.
I think if you double the following you have right now, I think it's going to be an obvious choice. That's what I think. But we'll see.
Maybe when I get not hacked, but
that's it. Like you would, because eventually somebody's going to try and imitate your account.
All right. I got you. All right. Speaking about fake accounts and fake numbers, let's get into the U.S. job report. I'm just baffled.
Wait. So you're calling the U.S. jobs report a fake number?
No, I'm lost, Ernesto. I'm lost as to what's happening with the economy, with inflation, 40-year high. Sales down, 40%. Real estate sales, I'm saying.
Yes.
Layoffs happening across the tech sector, across the world. You go to Macy's, you go to Nordstrom, you go to the mall. It seems like a ghost town in many of these stores now.
No, so you've reached a little too far. So are there layoffs happening across the tech sector? Yes. And are more layoffs coming outside of the tech sector? I believe so, right? If the Fed has anything to do with it, 2 million more people will be unemployed this time next year, right? Which sounds like a big number, but
that is a big number.
It's a big number.
Yeah.
Now we can have that conversation about whether that's what I think the Fed should be doing, but that's what they're pushing for. They are, because the more people have a job, the more there is an upward pressure on inflation, right? So having something close to 5%, 4.5%, 5% unemployment is what is considered healthy. But if you talk to the people who are unemployed,
and we're at 3.5, and we're at 3.5,
3.5, and I believe 3.5 is a 50-year low or something.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Nothing that used to make sense or add up.
The two things don't conflict. To be clear, right? So what's going on is I think the expectation was 230,000.
Yes.
And we added 236,000 jobs to the labor market. Okay. It's not that big of a difference when you look at reports like that. It's not that big of a difference, number one, right? So it's not like everybody went, oh, wow, 236 versus 230. No, if it had been like 330 or something like that, and we would have talked about a shocker. But aside from that, what is happening out there is you're still seeing a slowdown. Even though it came in at 236, which is slightly hotter than it was expected, it still represents the lowest amount of jobs added in, I think, since 2020, something like
yes,
that, right?
Yes.
So before pre-pandemic level. So it's not as good as it has been, depending on, you can call it good or not, depending on how you see whether we should be adding jobs or not, right? But
I'm baffled.
It's not conflicting. So it's still slowing down. So even though we're adding more jobs, it's not as many jobs as the month before. So what the Fed is doing is working, right?
Now, let me ask you this. How is it working? Because
in the mind of the Fed, it's working.
And that's like everything that I see doesn't make sense. I went to the grocery store with my weekend, talking about toxic masculinity. You know, we went shopping and for groceries, and I'm looking at the prices of everything: lettuce, tomatoes, milk. I couldn't believe it. So layoffs are happening. You know, sales are down across the board. Yet people keep getting hired. Are they quitting and getting new jobs? Is it the same people, recycled people that are happening?
What's happening, is, at least an interpretation of what's happening that I read, is you have the job market is hot, it's still hot, but it's tightening, right? It's not as, the opportunities are not as many as there were before, but they're still out there, right? It's still a healthy amount of opportunity. And people are realizing, hey, I better get in while the getting's good.
Yeah.
So you have more people coming off of the sidelines and jumping back into the job market that were not coming in before. That's what's happening.
I heard something this morning, and I wish I could share who the report was from. Maybe I'll find it and I'll put it on the caption. Not the caption, but in the notes. But some employers are opting not to hire Generation Z, or is it Z? The
latest generation.
The latest, right?
Job market?
They're no longer, they're opting not to hire Generation Z, not because they're lazy, but because they love turnover. And, they're not hard workers. This report's words, not mine. And they're opting to go and hire older candidates for open positions.
Yes.
I find that very interesting.
We older clients are more trainable dogs. I hate to put it that way, but
I believe this report.
Here, let's start with, and we spoke on this briefly before we start.
Yeah.
Let's start with the idea that income, what employers pay as a whole, I'm not talking about, don't be yelling at me because this guy pays well or that guy pays crap. As a whole, employers have not kept the wages for their workers at even the pace of inflation.
Correct.
This was true even before this inflation hike.
Correct.
Right? So for many decades now, since the 70s, since unions started losing membership, right? Mm-hmm. And employers have not had the incentive to force their wages up to maintain their workforce, right? So employers, and again, as a whole, don't come at me, small businesses, don't come at me. As a whole, they've not kept those wages up.
Right.
So now this tactic makes sense. If you're not going to pay a living wage, which used to be paid, right? If you're not going to pay a living wage to your employees, then you can expect that the next generation is going to do exactly what Gen Z is doing.
I love what you're saying, and I love where you're going. It kind of leads us to the next topic because I want to continue on this. Who's to blame there?
Who's to blame?
Yes.
I think you can pass blame pretty much everywhere. You can put blame on the government for not forcing it. Okay. You could put blame on employers as a whole. Again, as a whole, you can put a blame on the employers as a whole for not, for pocketing more profits and not putting it towards their employees, which it didn't used to be like that, right? It used to be that the employer and the employee would share a lot more in the profits. Now you see CEOs doing hundreds of thousands of times more in income than the average employee. It's a ridiculous amount at this point. But it's gotten way beyond what it should have been. And it's the average American's fault for suckering into the idea that unions are bad.
Now, I don't know if I believe what you're saying about CEOs. CEOs make again, these are publicly traded company jobs that you're talking about. I'm talking about blue collar positions. I think we're just talking about different things
Could be.
But who's to blame? I mean, you said employers a couple times. I don't know if employers is the right word. It's you said the Fed earlier too.
I said the government.
The government, the Fed, policies.
Control wages.
No, I understand that. Now, do you think that there's any room to blame on the politician sides?
Of course there is. The federal minimum wage, I believe, at this moment is below $8 an hour.
It is. Not in California.
No, that's the state. But the federal minimum wage, I believe, is
about $8, $7.50, $7.75. Like now, I don't know. Again, I don't know how you saw that. I'm just, again,
there's a wider discussion. So
it's a deep.
I'll throw in one additional point. The reason why this whole we're against illegal immigration argument, right?
Okay.
This is a whole other thing. But the reason why this whole or anti-illegal immigration argument falls flat on its face, why you'll never see the borders get closed, is because why? They're allowing a level of worker that will come in and take the lowest wage possible, thereby establishing a lower floor than you would have if you were forced to only hire legal workers.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
So what does that do? It depresses wages. That's good for business. If I don't have to pay this guy what I would normally have to pay a legal, quote unquote, legal worker, that depresses wages, makes my company more profitable,
Sure.
and you get to sit and complain that illegal immigration is.
So I think that's where you're going with employers are to blame. Now, there's certain sectors that hire that. You know, I know that you travel to Oxnard a lot for family, right? There's a lot of farming that happens in Oxnard, strawberries, cabbages, and everything in between, right? Without a doubt, a lot of illegal labor is probably being, I don't want to say conducted, but, you know, run in that city. 100%.
I don't think Oxnard would stand on its feet without that part of the economy.
I agree. And, you know, going to Frisco, going up the 5 freeway, you know, you have the farms, the cherry farms,
It's not
all the farms.
farming, though. It's go into any restaurant, go into the back room of any restaurant.
I agree.
Any restaurant.
I agree.
And even very reputable restaurants, right? You go into, and I'm not telling, you know, I'm not just sitting here judging whether those folks should or should not have jobs. I'm telling you the reality of the economics behind it. If you can establish a lower floor
Your
of wage,
$14 burger at a joint is no longer $14.
right? Exactly. If you can establish a lower floor for wages, that to you is money that you can either pocket or put into other things. So it makes it a more profitable venture for you as a business owner.
Wow, Ernesto. So speaking about illegal immigration, let's talk about one of your favorite politicians that's very popular on that topic.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Last week,
Mr. Trump has a lot to say. About that.
Build the wall. Build the wall. Well, what happened to your wall?
What happened to my wall? what happened to your wall? I did not vote for Trump. Right?
No, it made it, well, your stance on illegal immigration on the job sector and employers,
Yes.
It made me sound like you're a big fan of Trump. I know that you're not. We could deep dive into why that may or may not be, but he was arrested, officially the first former president ever arraigned and brought to a court and charged. I think it was 32 counts of fraud and this, and not fraud, but hush money payouts and that sort. Should be honest with you, I don't know what the 32 counts are. I was not going to.
I don't know the official label for it, but anyways, go ahead.
So, how do you see that going? He's still a candidate for 2024.
That's all interesting.
I'll tell you as somebody that did vote for him one of the 2 times that he ran. You know, and I voted for him for 2 simple reasons. I voted for business.
Yes.
Because he's for the employer, you know, creating job creation, right? And I did, and the second reason was I didn't like option B. It's that simple. Very simple. You clearly like option B, and you were voted for against your business. All right. So let's get into it. What were your thoughts?
So first of all, assuming that a Democrat in office means bad things for business, you need to go back and look at what happens in the economy.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I'm talking about current date, though. I am talking in the last 8 years.
Okay. But historically, neither one or the other is better or worse for business. Just that way.
I agree.
All right. So what is the question? I'm sorry.
The question is going back to him being arrested.
Yeah.
Okay. Him being arrested. How did that make you feel? Were you jumping on the couch? Were you excited?
No. I said it before. I think Trump should be left in the rearview mirror at this point. I know a lot of people don't think that, but I think we're a hair away from turning the corner against Trump. Whether we move in a better direction or not, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. But
I think because social media, he's gonna still be in the running. He's still, you know.
But I think a significant part of the Republican Party has now turned the corner, and they're this close to being able to say it out loud. Yeah. They just can't yet. But a lot of them have always hated Trump secretly. I don't know if you saw this, but I think you did. All the people that were pro-Trump on Fox News, all those people were in the back and on the back room talking smack about him.
I heard that.
Tucker Carlson was back there literally saying, I hate this guy.
Yeah.
I hate it. And yet he would get in front of everybody and sell this dude to him.
On cable television.
What a bastard. I was like, really, fool? First of all, you're going to pass your stuff off as news. It's not news. It's commentary. I hate when people do that. But number 2, you're selling this dude to America in the back room. You're telling your bosses how much you can't stand the dude. The nerve. The nerve. And then you're turning Americans into like, you know, that part of
self-hate.
Yeah. I'm like, wow.
Well, I'm looking forward to 2024. I am looking forward to turning the page, hopefully, on the current administration. You know, I don't know. I mean, is there any candidate running right now that excites you? Anybody on the platforms that are out there that have thrown their hat in the ring? No.
And so here's the thing about me in politics, right? So Obama was the last person that I was excited about.
Me too.
In terms of stepping into office. And he did not leave. When he left, and what he represented, I was still excited for that.
Okay.
But I was not excited with what he did while he was in office.
Okay.
Obamacare, as far as I'm concerned, went in with the idea that we were going to make healthcare affordable. That faded in the background, right? So healthcare did not become more affordable. It just got extended to more people. That's a plus, I guess. But it did not become more affordable.
Sure.
That's a plain truth, because I could tell you. Well, anyways,
I was forced to pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember going out there and getting my bids and my quotes, and I'm like, I have to pay how much for my family? And I wasn't making money. I was like struggling to pay the bills, and I was really caught off guard. In the first year, I didn't go and do it. I'm like, fuck this, I'm not paying this. Right. Then I got the penalty, but a couple $1,000.
He didn't lose me there, because he fought the good fight there, and he just didn't win a portion of it. He would have made it more affordable if it had been up to him, but he lost. Where he lost me was he let the United States government become a total invasive force in our lives, right? And even to an extent that people don't even read about, they don't even care about it anymore, because it's so invasive that it's just become part of life. And he allowed that to happen. It was on his watch that we lost a ton of our privacy. And for that, he lost me. He lost me right there.
I'm surprised.
But he's the last guy that excited me on any level. Now, when I look at your guy, the new guy DeSantis, when I look at that, what you would say is my guy Biden, which is not my guy.
If you voted for him, that's your guy.
No,
if you voted for him, that's your guy.
I much more support his way of governing than I do, for example, a DeSantis. That's true. That's true, right? Okay. But it doesn't mean that I respect him as a person. I actually don't respect him as a person. It's a proven fact the guy is a plagiarist. It's a proven fact that, I mean, at least to me, he corrupted the process in the Ukraine to make sure his son got
taken care of. Yep, absolutely.
And I think if you're looking at that from
how does that make you feel, knowing that, okay, he had my vote because I don't like the alternative? I'll give you that. That's fair.
Yeah.
And knowing that, they're hiding that whole laptop information and that the Ukraine stuff. How does that make you feel?
The laptop piece of it, to be honest with you, I've not done enough research to give you a good opinion on the laptop.
Of course you haven't.
But I did do enough research on how he manipulated the government in the Ukraine so that his son would come out unscathed, right? And people in the Ukraine today are still suffering because of that. High-level politicians, or who were high-level politicians, no longer have a life there because of that. Anyways, long story short, I'm not. The truth is I'm not. I'm not excited by U.S. politics at all. Like when I see the Nancy Pelosi's of the world getting super rich. She's already rich, but getting super rich off of insider trading. That does not excite me at all.
She's worth $500 million, I think.
When I see the people like Trump coming into our political system and having that much popularity because we just can't get it right for the average American, and they're going to fall into guys like Trump. Somebody once said to me something that I thought was very wise. In a time of high stress, high conflict, people are going to look for somebody, a Trump, or an Obama, for an example, right?
So a leader.
No, a different kind of leader. They're going to look for somebody who is
outside the swamp. If we're talking about the political scape.
No, somebody who's got the charisma to lead, right?
I agree with that,
but not necessarily the intelligence or the chops to lead. And in times of peace and quiet, they're going to look for people that have the chops to lead, not necessarily the charisma, but more of an administrative leader, right? Yeah. So in these times, we're looking for the Trumps. Because why?
They're tired of the Clintons. They're
sick of it.
I was surprised when I saw Biden running, and I'm like, brother, you've been in politics for 50 years.
Yeah.
Right? And, he's always played second fiddle, third fiddle, and he's done very well.
And he's run for president before, and he's lost.
Anyways. Okay, let's move on, because this is not a political podcast.
Right.
This is Dad's house. So speaking about houses, let's talk a little bit about, maybe we'll get into, something about the kids and that sort of thing. But market, real estate, housing, mortgages. Here's a fair question that somebody asked me yesterday. Jose, how come everything that I see and I feel and jobs and, they cut hours at my job, how are we not in the real estate market? Clearly, we're only talking about California. How are we not in a real estate crash in California? And I know the answers. How do you answer that to a consumer thinking about getting a loan?
So the consumer, the consumer needs to understand that there's not that many houses on the market, right? That's the base of it. There's not as many houses on the market as there were pre-pandemic, even before pandemic.
10 years ago, probably.
Yeah. And so because the amount is low, relatively speaking, the number of people who can still qualify to buy properties is high relative to that low number of real estate. Right?
Yeah.
Even though a lot of people have fallen out of the bottom, right, because interest rates and all that, everything that's going on with the economy, there's still a lot of people looking to buy homes relative to the number of homes available. And so it's a demand and supply issue. And if there's a lot of demand and very little supply, you're going to have prices continuing to go up. So that's a sustainable in the short term model.
The analytical answer that I like to give is in the last market crash, 2008, 9, 10, right? When they were giving the $8,000 credit. In that time period, for a period of about 10 years, builders stopped building. They didn't have the money and they didn't have the consumer confidence to continue building new construction, building housing, which would have made the market that we're in, at least in Southern California, we're short. We're short inventory. We're short housing. We're short rental properties. We're short apartment buildings.
Side note, on the rental property side, at least nationwide, I'm not sure about Southern California because I haven't read up on it, but at least nationwide, there will be a ton more rental properties coming onto the market, right? Yeah. Multifamily is going to be hitting big in the next couple of years, and you will see rents either stall out or decline because of it.
Yeah. So in LA County, the rents went down I think it was 5% or something year over year. But that's not saying much when it increased some ridiculous amount, right? But housing is short. So for 10 years, builders are supposed to build a million houses a year, right? And they were building about 500, 400,000. So we are short across the nation over 6 million homes. So you take 6 million shortage that you should have if you continue to build on the standard that you're supposed to. And then you fast forward to low rates of 2-3%, right? Rising rents.
Yeah.
That's the reason, in my opinion.
And you have of course sellers. One of the reasons we have such a shortage of available homes for sale is because sellers are I'm not going to give up my 3% rate for the sake of selling right now. Hold on to my equity and my low rate.
As a real estate agent, I'm dealing with that. I have 3 potential listings that if it wasn't for their low rate and their low payment, these would be in the market.
I'm gonna on this podcast right now, I'm gonna let go of a little secret that I'm gonna start talking to sellers about, and you should start talking to sellers.
I think I know what it's gonna be. Let's see what it is.
You have a ton of equity.
Yes.
You have a ton of equity.
So what should they do?
Deploy your equity so that on your next purchase, you buy your rate as low as you possibly can. Mm-hmm. Then if you've got more equity now than there has been for so long.
Absolutely.
Take some of it. Go buy the next house or your forever home, your retirement home, your downsized home, whatever you want to do. And if it's the interest rate that's kind of hitting you, fine. Take some money. I don't know if you can do this, but you can buy your interest rate way down, way down, or force the seller of the house that you're buying next, force them to put your rate down if you got that leverage.
I love what you're saying, and I also love the idea of potentially doing a HELOC. HELOCs. I actually had 2 people reach out to me this week. One, as soon as we wrap this up, we got to discuss it. They want to do a HELOC on a home that they purchased maybe 2 years ago, way under market. They probably have $300,000 of equity in there. So decent equity, and their goal is I want to invest in my next property. I want to invest in some income property, which obviously I preach. I that's all I talk about to our clients, our agents, and our friends. Okay, so let's kind of pivot, and we'll wrap it up with a dad's house topic. So you have 2 daughters, I have 2 daughters, and I'm excited. Something that I'm excited about, actually, one of your kids recently joined your organization.
Yeah, she did.
Right?
Yeah.
And in the same, basically the same topic here, one of my daughters, the oldest clearly, just got her real estate license, and it's going to be on Monday, the day after, after Easter. We're going to start with her schedule, What are some tips? What are some advice that you gave your kid and you would give my kid?
At the moment, I wouldn't really call it advice. I would call it direction.
I like that. Blueprint. This is the steps.
Yeah. So this is what you're in charge of right now. And when you master that, we're going to go to the next thing.
So what was the direction you gave, is it Isabel?
Isabella. Yeah.
Isabella. What's the direction you gave Isabella with her new position in the Ernesto organization?
It was, you're going to be, so she's essentially in charge of, I will receive a lead, right? Somebody to talk to. I will do the initial intake interview, and then she will be in charge of following up on their paperwork, right? So she's in charge essentially not the very top of the lead funnel, but she's in charge just below the very top of the lead funnel. She's got to keep the paperwork flowing in, because what happens, people forget, life takes over, et cetera, et cetera. Very important to have some mechanism in place.
Touching base.
So touch base, say, hey, you still owe me this. Hey, are you still on it? That. So she's becoming that person for me. As soon as she masters that, then it's because right now she knows she has to chase the paperwork. She doesn't know if the paperwork necessarily comes in the condition that we need it.
Yeah,
that's a different thing, and that's the next thing I'm gonna teach her.
Okay, is her goal to be part of the mortgage industry, or is it just to help out your business as it grows and develops right now?
No, I don't think that our goals right now align. Her goal and my goal. I think she's off to be an attorney eventually. Nice. But right now I need her. Yeah, and she needs a job as she's going into college.
So is she part of the 236,000 job hires from?
She is actually. She would be one of those people. 236.
236,001.
Yes. Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. So the advice that I gave my kid and my daughter, Angelina, she starts on Monday. Where I want to have her follow up. Yeah. And get comfortable talking the phone.
Exactly. Sharpen the most important skill she's ever going to have in this business.
Communication. Yeah. So. Exciting stuff here at Dad's house. Clearly, we picked the right name because
now the next generation is coming in and taking over
our old ass. Okay, so that's it, guys, for episode 7.
7.
It was good. I wish
we have not been canceled yet.
It's too early talking about your atheist and
it's an uncomfortable thing. I will tell you honestly, it's an uncomfortable thing both to talk about religion and politics.
I know. Hey, we do both here.
Breaking those rules, man.
Well, with that said, today's Good Friday. I decided for everybody that's here downstairs, the whole team, the staff, the sales guys, I am buying tacos today. Most of them say they want fish tacos because of Good Friday.
Awesome.
You, my friend.
I will have fish tacos.
Fish tacos or carne asada?
Is it taconazo?
No, it's going to be Bagos meat. Do you eat meat on Friday, buddy? Is what I better get to.
Yeah.
Of course you do, because you don't believe in all.
I don't even know what was it that caused. Do you know why there's no meat eating on Friday?
And that's how we're gonna end it.